A few months ago I had my first ever bike fit and it changed my cycling forever.
Wow, that's brilliant.
I had all the signs of a poor position and experienced pain whilst riding, but I assumed that it was normal. Fast forward 4 months, I've had a second bike fit on my racier bike, my performance improved and I can ride for longer with no pain. And above all, I enjoy getting on the bike more. I'm at one with my machine between my legs. Now Romain, who performed my bike fit, has kindly made the journey from Swindon to London so that we can create this video. So today we are going to be looking at common signs that your position is incorrect or that it could be improved. 5 things that you can look for when riding, so at the bare minimum you understand if something is not right. That is the first step.
So if you hold the tops quite often when you ride, that could be a sign of something is wrong with your position. So if your hands are always on the tops, it means you're maybe trying to reduce the reach, so therefore it's not an ideal position. Ideally you want to use the hoods most of the time. The tops is mostly for climbing. You want to help a bit during a climbing effort, but when you're on a normal cycling session you want to be using the hoods most of the time. Another common issue we see, and that is a sign your position is not optimal, is the fact that you're not holding the hoods correctly. So your hands is sitting back from that center of the hood. You're doing that to reduce the reach. Some fitter would say it's the self-positioning selection. So you're kind of just bringing it back yourself, saying I don't want to be that far away, and you just slide back ever so slightly. Your hand shouldn't be here. It should be right in the angle of the hood. So that's a sign that your position is not optimal, and the bike fit could help you with that. Lastly, could be due to your handlebar width. Having an handlebar too wide for you would mean your arms are coming at an angle. You're sort of bracing yourself. You would do exactly what you're doing now. Your wrist would be brought inside, and that's to say I don't want to be that far apart, so I'm bringing my wrist aligned with the shoulder. So that is again a sign that your position is not optimal and changes could help. What those different hand position changes causes, it could be tension on the neck, tension on the shoulder, pins and needles in the hands. So if any of those symptoms occurs while you're riding, it could be a sign that something is wrong on the front end. It could also be linked to other part of the fit, but it's likely that this section could be optimized by that setup. So now the saddle is also a big indication of how right your position is, if you do need a bike fit or not. And for example, we often see people sitting on the nose of the saddle. That's easily to notice because you would have a big gap on the back. So if you look from the side, you would have a lot of the saddle being exposed. So if you sit here, you're actually sitting on a really narrow section of the saddle. You should be sitting around that area in the saddle.
Okay.
And if you're sitting a lot forward, it could be because your saddle is too high, could be because it's too far back, because your reach is too long. So you're making those compensations yourself to make up for a wrong position. And what we tend to see as well is a rise in popularity in TT saddles. So people would get a TT saddle and they suddenly feel a lot more comfortable, simply because TT saddles are designed to sit on the front and they are wider, so you end up having more area to sit on, and therefore it is more comfortable. But you're not solving the problem. You're trying to fix it in a certain way that is not the optimum way of fixing it. If you're not sitting in the correct place, the setup is wrong somewhere. It could be the saddle itself. You might be sitting on the wrong saddle for you. I have found that most of the time, it's not necessarily the biggest reason.
The saddle.
Yeah, the saddle itself. It's not necessarily the reason of the pain. Check out yourself. If you're sitting on the nose of the saddle and there is a lot of section exposed on the rear of the saddle, get somebody to check, to look from the side. That is a sign that you're not using the saddle correctly, and that would need to be fixed. So another sign that would show that you need a bike fit is if you experience any pain. But we need to make the distinctions between the pain while riding and after riding.
I'm fine, really.
Either way, pain is not good, but we need to make sure the pain is caused by the position and not by an underlying issues that you might have. But while riding, you might experience pain if we go top to bottom, so neck, shoulders, elbows in a way, or the arms in general, wrists and hands, that's mostly pins and needles, upper back, lower back, and that could be in the middle, all across, or just on one side. So if you just experience lower back issues on the left, for example, that is a sign that you're maybe not, there is some asymmetry that is causing a one-sided pain. But that is a sign that the position is not optimal. And as we come down, saddle is usually the biggest issue. Most people coming in says they have saddle soreness, numbness, pain, discomfort, you name it. It's usually the most common issue. And then as we keep going down, knees is also a big issue. And then the feet, which is quite important to get that sorted because it's helping the rest of the body to stabilize and work efficiently. So also all these pains that you might experience while riding should not be there. There is that thing in cycling that it's normal to suffer when you ride. It's not. You should not experience pain. If you ride 12 hours in a row, yes, okay, it might start to be understandable, but otherwise, no, you should not have pain. So if you experience any of that, it's a sign you need a bike fit. After riding, if you experience pain, that could also be a sign you need a bike fit. But you need to make sure it's not caused by working hard during the session. So if you go out for 2 hours and it's full on and you're doing a crit race, for example, and then your muscles are sore, well, it's normal, you've been working hard. So that's not necessarily an issue, but if it hurts on a ligament, for example, like usually the back of the knee could be a one that is often an issue, that would be a sign that there is some asymmetry or some setup that is wrong and causing the pain on that specific area. So all those points, pain, discomfort, numbness, pins and needles, clearly that's a sign you need to do something about it. So we're back on the saddle again. We talked about it a little bit already, but this is a good way to know if your position is right or wrong, is how do you interact with that saddle. So if you're sitting correctly and you're stable and you don't move, that's a sign your setup's probably correct. However, if you slide forward or if you slide backwards or if you've got a lot of movement on the saddle, it's a sign something is not quite right. So next ride, think about your saddle. How do you interact with it? Do you have to constantly reposition yourself on the saddle? You're moving around and you have to resit back, or you're sliding back, you move forward, or it feels like you're never kind of sitting in the correct place. That's a sign your position might not be right. It might be the saddle itself, but it's likely there is something else causing it.
Now you know what to look for with your bike fit. Check out this video where I had a full bike fit with Remain. The results were pretty epic, to be honest, and do subscribe for more videos on bike fit incoming.